Greg, Jared, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Well, if you're in front of the Bloomberg terminal, you type in READ, read go. The most read story on the Bloomberg terminal today, not surprisingly, is by Eric Schatzker, entitled Hertz orders 100,000 Teslas in car rental industry shakeup. Eric joins us here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker studio. He's an editor-at-large for Bloomberg News. Eric, great story, fun read. Boy, and it's certainly, I guess to me when I read it, kind of validated electric vehicles in general and Tesla in particular here. What's Hertz's strategy?
Well, you're absolutely right, Paul, that people will look back on this, probably will look back on this as a watershed moment. The Hertz strategy is to gain a march on its rivals. The rental car industry is very competitive, but not very innovative, right? Things don't change very quickly. What was the last innovation? Maybe mobile notifications.
Yep.
This is something very different. Hertz is buying 100,000 Teslas, and eventually it's going to replace almost its entire fleet of 500,000 cars and trucks with EVs, because obviously they're the future. But from an economic standpoint, the total cost of ownership is lower. Yes, it's more expensive to buy them up front, but they're very cheap to maintain relative to internal combustion engines, and they recover a much higher percentage of their sticker value in resale. So that gives you a window into part of the business model. What are some of the other benefits? Try before you buy. People who might never have otherwise rented a car, who may even own a car, will go to Hertz and rent a Tesla because it's sort of like an extended test drive.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
For sure. And I mean, that's, I think, a huge benefit to Tesla, right?
Massively.
Normally, if you take a test drive, you're lucky enough if a dealer gives you an hour in the car. But you can't know what it's like to live with a car on an hour test drive. If you get it for a couple days or for a week, that's a very different story. And if people are happy with it, they're going to go and buy a Tesla after renting one.
The chances of that are much higher for the Tesla, Matt, than they are for a base model Chevy Impala, which is, for the most part, what you get when you go to Hertz right now.
Yeah. I mean, car rental, usually...
CD player, anybody?
Exactly. By the way, the big bummer for car makers normally when they get a big contract like this is that they never make any money on it, right? But it looks like Tesla's getting pretty close to list price.
Yes, so I have it on the authority of people familiar with the situation that is in fact, Matt, what is happening. It's a $4.2 billion order. Break it down, $42,000 a car. If you go to the Tesla website, the lowest price you see for a Model 3 is about $37,600. But that includes some discounts that aren't available to a company like Hertz. So yes, this is very close to list price. And part of the calculus here, as I understand it, is that Hertz wants to redefine its relationships with the manufacturers, the so-called OEMs, so that it isn't antagonistic. It isn't give me the biggest discount, the lowest price on the lousiest car, of which you have too many. It's let's work together. And that's one of the reasons that the Hertz customers, those who rent Teslas, are going to have access to the supercharging network, right? 3,000 supercharging stations that Tesla has. There may be some kind of collaboration between Tesla and Hertz on the Hertz charging stations that are now under development. You can see a number of ways in which a company like Tesla that's making EVs, that's highly digital, could collaborate with a company that's like Hertz, that's trying to digitize its business and take advantage of mobility technology as much as possible.
By the way, Hertz, first of all, the most legendary car rental company, because not because of OJ, but because they had the Ford Mustang GT350s. They had a Hertz Special, which was a Shelby Mustang.
Yes.
They also have, right now, in the CEO chair, someone who knows car manufacturers quite well.
Pretty darn well, Mark Fields.
How did that happen? And what is he doing?
Well, he was on the board. They're looking for a permanent CEO, but they're relisting their shares on the NASDAQ. They need somebody who understands the automotive business.
Well, Matt Miller's coming back to the States, Eric. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, for all we know,
that could be part of the plan.
That's the announcement yet to be made.
Mark has better hair.
Exactly. Oh, all right, so Eric, what are the competitors going to do? If I'm Avis, don't I have to get a press release out? Like, I'm going to take...
Quite honestly, it looks pretty tough. Whether you're Avis or whether you're Enterprise, or if you're in Europe and you're Sixt, or for the time being anyway, Europe Car, which is owned by Volkswagen, there just isn't enough capacity available. There are EVs at the low end of the market, like the Chevy Bolt, which is having a few problems of its own, and there are a number of EVs in development on the high end of the market, and I'm not just talking about the Lucids. General Motors is developing electrified Cadillacs too, but that's not the fat part of the rental market, right? The Tesla Model 3 fits in very nicely as an alternative to the four-door sedan. I mentioned the Chevy Impala, I'll mention it again. That's what most rental car customers want. They're not going to drop a whole bunch of money on a Lucid. They're just not. They need something practical. Tesla is the only company that makes that car. It's the only company with the capacity, and it's going to be awfully difficult for Hertz's competitors to catch up in the short run. But with so many EVs coming out, that is the future.
And for right now, it's also pretty exciting. If you're choosing between car rental companies and one has Teslas, you're probably going to pick that because it's something new and different and fun, and it's a great story. Eric's going to join me in my television program a little bit later on, so I'm looking forward to it. And right now, we're going to go down to Washington, D.C. Amy Morris joins us, World National News. Amy?
All right, thanks so much. As the energy-hungry nations of the world prepare for a major climate conference later this week, early next week, the price of oil is high and getting higher. Bloomberg's Irv Chapman has the details from Washington.
The oil-producing countries are resisting calls to produce more and moderate the price for a reason beyond profits right now. Ellen Wald of the Atlantic Council said in a Bloomberg interview.
They are very concerned that a lot of this climate rhetoric has been hurting investment in fossil fuels. Having these higher prices right now brings home their point that fossil fuels are still a really important part of the energy ecosystem. You still need us, so stop treating us like we're disposable.
Walt said Saudi Arabia and the others also recall how quickly high prices fell when recessions hit a few years ago. In Washington, Irv Chapman, Bloomberg Radio.
Now,